As part of our series on creating and running a US LLC as a non-US citizen or a non-US resident, in this video, I'm going to walk you through how to properly fill out and submit your Form 5472 and your 1120 Pro format. I'm going to walk you through the entire process from filling all the information you need to know up to submitting the documents to the IRS. I'm not going to leave you high and dry. So grab a cup of coffee and let's go. Okay, cool. So to do this, we are going to use an avatar. We're going to use Alex. And there he is. So to illustrate the process, I'm going to use Alex's business setup. So if your business is set up anything like Alex, you know that the information I'm going to share in this video on how I'm going to fill out the forms is going to apply to you largely. Okay, so let's look at how his business is structured. So Alex owns Alex Web Solutions LLC, which is a single member LLC. He's registered in New Mexico, USA. And then his mode of operation is he works remotely from Nigeria, offering web design services and serving clients worldwide. And then he has no US presence. This is very important. He does not have a US office, no warehouse or employees in the US. His business is conducted solely online out of his Nigerian home office. And Alex's revenue flow is clients pay Alex's LLC through Stripe, PayPal, or a US business account. So if he's Nigerian, he probably has a Wise or one of the Nigerian neobanks, online banks like GigPay or Gray or Clever or Grabify, all of which I teach how to create accounts with on the channel. But even if he's not Nigerian, you could have something like a US bank account with RelayFi or Makery. So some type of US bank account. And then he transfers his earnings from those bank accounts, from his US bank accounts or his PayPal or Stripe, into his personal local bank account. So that's how his revenue flows. So therefore, his IRS filing requirements is because he owns a foreign-owned disregarded entity, he must file the IRS Form 5472 and Form 1120 Pro forma to report foreign transactions with his LLC. So I think at this point, I need to put out a disclaimer that I am not a CPA. I am not a professional tax advisor or any type of professional when it comes to tax issues. I'm a solopreneur and I do my research on this topic and do these things for myself. And then once I learn these things, I come on here and share with you on this channel. So I still advise that you seek professional advice, especially when you're confused about anything. You want to make sure that you're getting professional advice. This video is for educational purpose only. So let's go on and let's look at some important things that you need to take note of before we get into filling out this form and submitting to the IRS proper. Now, the first thing is on your Form 1120, you want to make sure to write Foreign-Owned U.S. DE, which stands for disregarded entity, across the top. The IRS advises that you do this on your 1120 form. So the next thing is you want to make sure to confirm the correct fax number every year before sending the documents to the IRS, as they might change from year to year. Next, there is no e-filing. At least at the time of making this video, your documents must be faxed, or you print and then fill out the forms and then mail them to the appropriate IRS address. There's no emailing, there's no e-filing. It has to be faxed or mailed physically. And then the due date for filing your tax return is typically April the 15th every single year. So after which you can incur fines of up to $25,000 per year. So this is a very serious thing. But then if you, for some reason, can't meet up to file before the April 15th, you can request for some time extension. And you can do this by submitting a Form 7004. And let me know in the comment section if you'd like me to make a video on how to request for some time extension. So now let's go into the form filling process. So this is the Form 1120. And to get the Form 1120, you can just do a Google search for IRS Form 1120. It should be this one, the one that has PDF by it there. If you click on it, you're going to get the form. Same goes with the 5472. If we enter in 5472 there, you can see another PDF link. If you click on that, you are going to have the 5472 form. After filling, you can fill it directly in here if you want to, but I always advise that even if you do the filling here, you want to also export the thing, open up a proper PDF editing software or tool, because sometimes you can fill the thing online, and when you check, you see that some things are misaligned and some information are cut off. So you want to make sure you double check with a proper PDF editing tool. So let's start with the 1120. First off, you want to make sure that you have foreign US disregarded entity written across the top right here. For my personal document, this is what it looks like. Put a text there that says foreign US DE. For Alex's business, let's say he started his business for the purpose of clarity on the 1st of January. So we have that there, 1st of January 2024. And this tax report is going to cover till December 31st, 2024. So whenever you set up your business, then you're going to enter that date as the start date. So also keep in mind, I'm doing this for an initial report, which means this is the first time that Alex is filing his report. In my case, currently that's the situation. So if it's the first time, you will have to enter the beginning of the year as the time you incorporated your business. So for instance, if you incorporated your business in February, it will not make sense for you to start this in January, because in January your business was not in existence. So this is going to carry when you set up your business. And in the following year, you can then start from the January 1st to December 31st. I hope that makes sense. Now, moving forward, we're going to enter in the name as the name of Alex's business, just as it is in the document of incorporation. So for Alex's business, it's Alex Web Solutions LLC. And then for address, you use your address as it is on your LLC formation. Now, I've learned that some people use their registered agent's address or their local home country address, but to play it safe, it's best to use your LLC formation address. The address there. And then the next thing is, of course, you want to provide your employer identification number, and then you are going to enter your date of incorporation here. And for Alex's case, we're using January the 1st, 2024, which is last year. So right at the bottom of the first page of the form 1120, you're going to see where it says sign here. And all you need to do here is put in the name of the person who owns the business and who is filling out the form. In our example case, it's Alex Okoro, and then the date of filling out the form, and then the title of the person, which of course will always be owner in a single member LLC. And in a solopreneur business like this, it's best to use the title owner. But in something more advanced, like you have a corporation or something, it would be something like president or CEO. So just use something as simple as owner when it's a single member LLC. And then just below that, we have paid preparer use only. So this will only be filled out if you paid somebody like a CPA or a tax professional to fill the forms for you. So they're going to provide their information down here. But when you're doing this yourself, you can leave that part blank. You need to check if it's an initial return, which means this is the first time we are doing this. We're filing this form. So if it is, check initial return. And that's about all you need to fill out in the 1120. You can go on to answer some of the things, like from the Schedule K, you can fill out some of these things here and provide your business activity code and business product services and stuff. You're not going to be penalized if you provide more information and fill out other parts of the form correctly, but you don't necessarily need to do this. So this is a pro forma, which means it's not, it's like a cover page. It's not the meat of the filing. The main thing is going to be in the form, the 5472. Yeah. So just for the sake of simplicity, I'll advise just fill out the top part here and leave the rest blank. So let's move on to the 5472. If you're loving this video so far, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you have any questions, leave a comment in the comment section and I will answer all of your questions to the best of my knowledge. And so I've gone on to fill out the form 5472 for Alex's case that we're using as an example, just so we can speed up the process. And so I'll walk you through what I've done. So again, you're going to enter the year, the period of time you are filing this. It starts from January the 1st, the date of incorporation, since it's an initial report, to the 31st of December 2024. And then we're going to repeat all the other things we did in the 1120, the introductory things, the information, the name of the business, the address, same as before, the state and country code, and then the zip code, the employer identification number, And then that's about it for the top section there. So for principal business activity, you want to enter what the service you provide is. And for this example we're using, Alex is a web designer, so that's web design. And there is a principal business activity code that is attached to every business activity by the IRS. If you use the service like Busy, you can check your dashboard to see what that code is. In case you don't know what the code is, maybe you did not use a service like Busy that you can go to a dashboard and find out what it is. You can just look it up. You can say IRS principal activity code for your category, for like web design or something, and then you can search that on Google and you would see the activity codes will pull up on the IRS website. You can see all of it here and you can find where you fall under. So in Alex's case, the principal business activity code will be that number. So you enter that there. So in 1F, we're going to enter the total value of gross payments made or received in our business in the year. And this number will include all the money you spent on your business and the money you earned from your business. And this is usually referred to as capital contribution for money you spent and capital distribution for money that was paid out of the business to your to the owners of the business. In this case, it's a sole business, so 100% is going to me. So how much did I make out of my business? You want to make sure that you keep some record so that you're not over-reporting or under-reporting. And this is where your 1099K that could be sent to you from payment platforms like PayPal or Stripe can come in handy. And I made a video about the 1099K and how you can use that information to properly report on your 5472. And so, but outside of this, you want to keep some record. And let me show you what my record keeping looks like. The very first year of me filing my LLC was there was not much activity. So I started the thing in January. That's my date of incorporation, 16th of January. And the amount of money I spent for filing and also the registered agent fee is going to be categorized under capital contribution. This is money it's a loss to me. It's the money I spent on the business. It's not a profit. So it's under capital contribution. So I spent $50 for the state filing and $119 paid to Busy as my registered agent fee. I started to receive money from September, October, November, and December. These were the 4 months I received money. You want to use one account to be able to capture everything. So I pass most of my transactions through my PayPal so that I can keep an accurate record of how much is coming into the business that will now be recorded as my capital distribution when it comes time to file my Form 5472. So now I know how much came into the business in September, October, November, and December, which is when I had transactions. And these all fall under reportable transaction. So this is how I computed my total reportable transaction to $8,585. So that's the number I'm going to use. Cool. So we're going to also enter that as well here for total gross payments. We repeat that here. And then for 1G, it says total number of forms. The form 5472 forms that we're going to be filing, and in this case it's 1, and sometimes you can file 2 or 3, or as the case may be, if you have multiple owners of the business. Maybe 4 people own 25% of the business, so each of them are going to have their separate form 5472. But in this case, we own 100% of the business, so we are going to say we're just only submitting one form 5472. In 1J, check here if this is the initial year for which your U.S. reporting corporation is filing the form 5472, and that's the case. That's the reason why I have checked that. In 1L, we have country of incorporation. Of course, we incorporated this in U.S., and the country code for the U.S. is U.S. Date of incorporation, again, is January 1st for Alex, and then the country is NI for Nigeria. Principal country where the business is also conducted is Nigeria. So this is a very important thing to note. You can see here for the country code, I am Nigerian. I have gone on to say Lagos NI for Nigeria. And it's important for you to find out what the country code is for your country, how the IRS identifies your country. And sometimes this could be different from what the international Organization of Standardization recognizes your country as. For instance, the ISO recognizes Nigeria as NG, and the three letters I think is NGA. I was thinking that's going to be the same thing for the IRS, but I just double checked, and thankfully I did not make that mistake. So if you want to double check, you can just do a Google search and you can see country codes for the Internal Revenue Service. And if you click on that link, you can see all the codes for all the countries and how the IRS recognizes them. You can see if I scroll down to Nigeria, it says NI. This is how the IRS recognizes Nigeria. They recognize the Niger Republic as NG. So if I had gone to use NG, which is what the ISO recognizes Nigeria as, I would have gone on to make a mistake, and the IRS will view me as a Nigerian and not a Nigerian. So you want to make sure you double check to not make any mistakes. So let's go back to our form. And for number 2 and 3, it says check if at any time during the tax year, any foreign person owned directly or indirectly at least 50% of the total voting and of the business. Yeah. So we're going to check this because we own 100%, which is above 50%. And number 3 says check if the reporting corporation is a foreign-owned domestic disregarded entity, which of course we are. It's a DE, so we are going to check that there. Now, moving on to part 2, this is where we're going to declare the foreign owner. And we are going to enter the name and address. It says to enter the name and address of the foreign shareholder. So we're going to enter the name and address, the foreign address of Alex, the Nigerian address here now. And then for US identity number, this is if you have an SSN or an ITIN. So we don't have any of this, so we can just simply say foreign US. So the reference ID number is a number that you will use every single year to identify yourself to the IRS. And this number can be totally made up. So you can just use your business name or your name and attach some number. But you want to remember this number to always use this same number, whatever you do. I can come in here and say 258, but whatever I do, I must make sure that I remember that number and use that exact number every single year. So 4B is foreign taxpayer identification number, if you have any. So this is your Nigerian individual tax identity number. You can enter it here. So for principal country where business is conducted, country of citizenship, and country under whose laws the foreign owner files the income tax, we are going to say Nigeria for all 3. And that's it. You don't have to report any other person because you're the only person, the sole owner of this business. And that's for part 2. And then for part 3, we are going to enter our name and address again. And then we're going to enter foreign US for identity number. And then we're going to enter the same number that we entered, our identification code. Oh, we said we're going to use 789. So let's use Alex Webb 789. So we have that consistency. Don't make the mistake of using 2 different things, even though you make up this code for yourself. So also, we just repeat the same thing here. This is what we're doing here is we're reporting, all reporting corporation must complete this question and the rest of part 3. So this is for related party. So you want to make sure that you fill out this and check foreign person. Okay, make sure you check foreign person. So the information is pretty much everything we provided in part 2 for part 3. So moving on to part 4, we don't have to provide any information here. Sales of stock, we did not involve ourselves in any stock, and pretty much everything here, you will not need to provide anything in part 4. But in part 5 and part 6, we are going to check both of them because it says reportable transaction for a reporting corporation that is a foreign-owned USDE. It goes on to say, describe on an attached separate sheet any other transactions as refined by the regulation. So such as amounts paid and received in connection with the formation, dissolution, acquisition, and disposition of the entity. So we are going to attach, I'm going to show you that later on, but we're going to attach a separate document stating how much we spent on the business and how much the business made us. Okay, so our capital contribution and capital distribution. And that's also what part 6 is saying. Describe these transactions on an attached separate sheet. So transactions here, they're talking about between the reporting corporation and foreign related parties. So this will be your capital distribution, okay? The transaction between you and the business. So we're going to check this both sections here. So for part 7, we're pretty much going to answer everything no, because here it says, does the reporting corporation import goods from a foreign related party? We are an online business. We're pretty much doing everything online from our home office, so no importation. And if you read through, it's pretty much the same questions for different types of businesses that does not align with a solopreneur who's doing an online business. So everything here is going to be answered no. And then for part 7, it continues. Pretty much everything is no. During the course of the year, did the reporting corporation become a participant in CSA? Pretty much no for everything. I've gone on to attach the supporting statement. So the form should state that the LLC is a foreign-owned disregarded entity and the LLC is not engaged in U.S. trade or business. And also the LLC does not generate any U.S. source income that is effectively connected with a U.S. trade or business. And then it goes on to say that the form 5472 that is filed is to disclose the capital contribution and distributions between the LLC and the sole member. And then you break down the capital contribution and the capital distribution. So you can take a screenshot of this sample page and then use it to draft your own supporting statement. Done filling out your form, it's advisable to consolidate your 1120 and your 5472 forms into one single file, and also make sure that you have your 1120 first because it serves as the cover for the form. So once everything is done, now we are going to move on to the process of submitting your documents to the IRS, and I'm going to show you how to do that for free. So we are going to do this online with Fax Plus, and Fax Plus is an online faxing tool that you can use. They have a paid plan, but for the free plan, you can send up to 10 pages on the free plan before you have to pay. If we head over to Fax Plus there, I'm going to leave the link in the description. The sign up process is pretty easy. It says to have a fax number and be able to receive faxes, please upgrade your account, but we don't necessarily need to receive any faxes. We just want to send. So the free account should suffice. If we go to send fax, we can verify our phone number to claim our 10 free pages. That's how we get 10 free pages. So click on verify, enter your phone number. I'm going to enter my Nigerian phone number there. So once I enter the number, I get a verification code, which I'm going to impute real quick. And now it has been confirmed, and you can see we can now send. We have 10 pages of fax to send. So we can start adding our files and enter our IRS number that we're going to send this to and send. A very detailed page on the IRS website where they provide the address to mail your documents to and also the fax number. So I'm just going to take that number there, and then we go to send fax and add our file, the document we want to send, the consolidated 120 and 5472, and then add that number. And don't forget to add the +1 to the number since you're sending internationally. So once we have it all set up, we simply hit on send. So now we click on send and send. So it says each page will take roughly 1 minute to transmit, and you can view the status here, and you can see it's still sending. It's in the outbox, but once it's done, you're going to see it in the sent section here. After a couple of minutes, you can see it's been sent, and if we check fax confirmation report, it says here that our file has been successfully sent. I hope you found this video helpful and insightful. I will see you in the next one. Cheers.